Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Paid Search Podcast YouTube channel. My name is Jason Rothman. As always, I'm joined by my partner and co-host, Chris Schaefer. Chris, how are you doing early on this Thursday?
Energized. It's not, we usually record at 4 a.m. in the morning is what it feels like. That's my energy level, usually by the time we're recording. It's a nice, bright afternoon. I have energy. Hi, YouTube. I'm ready to share some knowledge and some jokes.
All right,
I'm standing. I'm standing. I always feel good when I'm standing. Do I look funny? Leave a comment down below.
You're just acting funny, Chris. I was going to tell you, I was trying to word it in a way that wouldn't offend you, and not to say you suck on the first 99 episodes, but the episodes you stood for, the last episode, you brought it, dude. You brought it, and not to say you sucked for the first 99, but you could just tell the energy was a little bit higher. It was nice.
Dude, you should be a fly on the wall for my client calls. I'm just like bringing the heat, I'm just like, and what? And I just go, and that's why your click-through rate increased. I'm just like animated and excited, but yeah, it's fun to stand. Try it out.
All right, good. Well,
leave a comment down below.
Someone's been watching a little too much YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Welcome back to the Paid Search Podcast, episode 101. We climbed the mountain to the first 100 episodes, and now we just got to keep digging, keep climbing to the next 100 episodes to get to 200. So welcome back, everybody. My name is Jason Rothman. As always, I'm joined by my fired up co-host, a former minor league baseball pitcher for about 7 months, and then he injured that shoulder. Chris Schaefer, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah, thanks, Jason. I'm doing good and excited to share some knowledge and insight that you and I have gathered over the years, and we just, it's just unheard of for people to just give away the content for free. We literally ask nothing, and we just give it away, and that's what we're here for. So excited to do it again for another week.
Yes, sir. So, Chris, today we are talking about, you and I you're vaguely successful. I'm extremely successful.
Wow. Thank you for vaguely.
And we can't take on all the business in the world. We just can't do it.
That's
so
true.
A lot of people call us, and we do still take on clients, but we can't take on everybody, Chris. And what we're doing today on today's episode is we're going to educate business owners out there on how to find the best AdWords management company for them and their individual needs. And we're also just going to coach people up a little bit on what they can expect from AdWords management companies, how to find them, and what kind of services they offer, and how to make the most out of that experience. Yeah.
I mean, Jason, the number of management companies and the variety of management companies makes it a decision like choosing a sugary cereal. You're presented with so many options. All of them are colorful. All of them have, well, not all of them, but many of them have pretty little pictures of a cute animal on the front. They have some type of slogan, AdWords management, it tastes great, something. And it's so hard to choose. And I think the misleading part, and this is a fault of our own, but we name this episode "How to Find the Best AdWords Management Company," but in truth, it's the best for you. It's not really the best. You don't always want the best, because the best is not always, what's going to work best for you as an individual, for you as a business owner. So I think that's the big difference with the way we're going to present it here. Is we're going to go with a more personalized approach of, make the best choice for you.
Right. Now, Chris, to get started, there's only a handful of places that you can find an AdWords manager, and I'm going to rattle them off here, and then I want to get your take on if I'm missing anything. Is there anywhere else on the planet where you can look for one? Upwork.com. Find a freelancer. Some agencies are on there as well. Local Google searches. So what I mean by that, as many people in the past have searched for. AdWords manager in Houston, AdWords management company, Houston, or whatever city you're in. Then there's also generic Google searches, AdWords agencies, AdWords management companies, AdWords management, just the word alone. And you can see who's out there advertising in the organic Google listings. Google partners, they, at least for now, have a search area. You can search for Google partners in your area. And then the final way, Chris, I would say how to find an AdWords manager is to ask yourself as a business owner, who did your website? So maybe they offer AdWords services, maybe they don't, but they might know someone if they don't. Am I missing anything, Chris, or is that pretty much the only places to find them?
Well, Jason, I know you being such a successful AdWords manager, I'm sure you get this all the time, but referrals are a big part of, how people find me and find you. So I would say on the business manager side, the business owner side, go to your local, what do they call it? Municipality, commerce, city of commerce, or what city,
chambers.
Chamber. Thank you. Chamber of Commerce. Go to your local chamber of commerce, talk to your successful business friends. Somebody is going to have dabbled in that before, and they're going to have been burned, and they're going to have somebody that they probably really like. Somebody's going to have a recommendation. That's another way to find it. That's
a great point.
I get a lot of clients that way. Say, hey, give Chris a call. I've worked with him before. He does a good job. So that's another option. But other than that, yeah, I completely agree. There's not a huge long list of ways to find managers.
Right. Now, Chris, AdWords management companies, they offer a number of services, and depending on what you need as a business owner, you can engage these companies for a variety of services. So you can have someone audit your account and tell you what you're doing wrong and what you could do better. You could have someone audit and do a one-time optimization where they actually make the changes for you. You can get coaching. You can get builds done, so they set you up initially, and then you can get a build and ongoing management. So as a business owner, you don't have to spend any time in it, but your AdWords manager does that management. So Chris, of those services, can you just give us a little breakdown of what each one looks like, and what do you kind of prefer doing just as a AdWords management provider yourself?
Yeah, we can just ping pong this back and forth. So, I'll start with audits. Audits is probably the cheapest of all of these options, because when it comes to audit, you can get one for free, or you might pay a small fee for someone to do an audit. But in reality, I'd say there's different levels of audits. Anyone that provides a free audit is going to have some type of skin in the game here, because they're interested in a campaign that's going to be spending, quite a bit of money, and they're hoping to hook you for like a year, contract, something like that. Nobody does full audits for free where they're not expecting to get anything out of it.
Nobody?
I'm going to say it. Absolutely not, because this is a world that is controlled by money and value for what people want.
You don't?
No, I do not offer free audits. Thank you, Jason, for clearing that up. No, what I'm interested in, what a real audit, and I don't even do this. A real audit can take, 2, 3, 4 hours. Yeah. If a campaign is large enough. A real audit is going to really go through and dig through and find all this stuff. And in reality, I would put a real audit just about on par with a one-time optimization, the amount of time that you would need to put in, because essentially an audit is going to find all the things that's wrong. Then the only thing you have to do from there is just change all that, right?
Right. And so optimization, they do it, but a good audit will tell you what you're doing wrong and how to do that better.
And how to fix it. Yeah. So,
there's some value to that.
I wouldn't say there's a lot of value in an audit other than just freaking yourself out because you're like, oh my gosh, look at this 16-page write-up of what's wrong with my account. Right. Because here's the truth. An audit is designed to scare you. No one's gonna write up a 16-page audit to say, hey, great job. Hey, well, Chris, good job here. That's not the job.
Some would say you and I are uniquely honest just in general. And I know you do this and I do this as well. You and I will, from time to time, just look at an account and say, no, you got the wrong guy. This is like, you're doing pretty good and I can't make this much better. I can manage it, But just know that I'm not going to sit here and try to scare you and tell you everything's wrong, because everything's not wrong. Everything's right. So you will run across people who are honest about that. You and I are. And it's not, I would say there's an ethical thing to it, Chris, why we do that. But at the same time, there's just a common sense. Like, we don't want to get ourselves in a spider trap where there's nothing to do. Like, we don't want to try to scare someone and then they say, okay, fix it. And then we're like, oh, wait, it was all a lie.
The thing that keeps you up at night is when you take a great running campaign, you put your hands on it, and then the next week is like, everything stopped. We suddenly stopped getting calls, right. Like that makes you just break out in a cold sweat, because that's the scariest thing. So, yeah, absolutely. There are campaigns that I've touched before, and it's happened that, I suddenly, whatever magic sauce was in that, I screwed it up. I put too much salt in or something. So yeah, it's absolutely true. Jason, what about the other kinds here?
Well, going on one-time work, like one-time optimizations, a lot of agencies and companies offer one-time builds. So if you're a business owner and you want to be hands-on, but you want to get set up the right way, you can ask for a one-time build. Not everyone's going to do it. I don't do it. The reason why I don't do it, Chris, is because I can build a great campaign and then someone may not know how to manage it. And then I have a reputational risk out there of someone saying, oh yeah, this guy built a campaign for me and it sucks. So I'm not a big fan of doing it, but a lot of people will do it. So you have one-time builds, and then you have coaching, Chris. So can you give us some tips? You're the best AdWords coach I know. How does someone find a good AdWords coach? What does good AdWords coaching services look like?
Well, I think experience and the ability for someone to explain something in a way that someone can understand it, whether they're advanced or new. I think that's, if you're having a conversation with someone who wants to offer you coaching, just throw one basic question out, say, to get a sample and say, tell me about click-through rate and how it's calculated and why it matters, or, what's important about it or what isn't important about it, and if they can explain that in a short 5-minute snippet, 3 minutes, and you understand it and you learn something from it, I think that's a good indication that you found a good coach. But if they stumble over things and get too deep and confused, and in the end, you don't really know that you understand any more than you did, maybe you understand less or you have more questions, probably didn't find a really good coach.
Yeah. And one thing to keep in mind about coaching is it doesn't have to be a one-time session. I've coached people before where we have our initial session where we kind of reset things up in their account. And then each month we would meet for a few months for an hour call or whatever and look at the performance. And then I was showing them, coaching them how to look at the data and make management decisions on an ongoing basis. So you can do multiple coaching sessions. And I think that's where the times I was doing coaching, the clients got the most out of it, because it was an ongoing thing and they could see not just how it starts, but okay, this is what I as a business owner should be doing month to month. And then, Chris, finally, there's the holy grail of AdWords management companies, the ongoing management. So if you could sum up, like what does it look like, and what's the benefit to a business owner when they find a good AdWords management company to do ongoing management? Like,
right.
Why should they pay for that?
Well, it's either going to include the initial build out of a new campaign for them, or it's going to be ongoing management and optimization of a campaign that's been running for a while. I do both of them. Jason, you do the same thing. And it just depends on the condition of the campaign when it is received by the management company. Yeah. So ongoing management, excluding whether you do the build or not, is valuable because there is, there's a knowledge of the history and the change and the seasonality of your industry and your campaign and what's important to you, versus, just someone jumping in brand new. When you have a history with a campaign, a history with a company, they're able to know, make those changes on the fly without having to call you, email you, have a meeting every 1 week about it, because there's no need. They know what your key points are. They know what's important to you. They know what type of clients you're looking for. And that's really what can really make your AdWords shine, is when you stick with a management, stick it out even in the bad times, and, there will be good times, and even when things slow down, you're still able to have that communication with them. They're able to make changes in your best interest because they know AdWords and you know your business.
That's exactly it, Chris. And to me, it's all about the use of the business owner's time and the efficiency of running an AdWords account. So I don't think any business owner, if they run a real business, should be doing AdWords, because there's plenty of other things that the business owner should be doing running the business. So that leaves the question of, okay, who's going to run it? Is it going to be an employee, or is it going to be someone who manages, or an agency or company who manages AdWords accounts? And that's all they do. And if they do it right, I think a company can be a better option, an AdWords management company, because unless you have a great AdWords employee, because an AdWords employee, say that you're paying them $40, $50 an hour as an employee for a lot of other stuff as well. If they can't do the same things that an AdWords management company can do in the same amount of time, then it's less efficient to have that person do it in-house. So that's how I think about it. You can have a really good AdWords person in-house, or if you don't have that, you can find an AdWords management company where it makes sense. And the way I pitch my services, Chris, and I think this is a good way for people to think about it. If I'm working for a moving company and I'm charging them a few $100 to manage their AdWords account, are they not going to get at least one more move each month from having me manage their AdWords accounts and them doing it as a business owner, doing a million other things? It's like, obviously, yes. And so the service kind of pays for itself. So that's how I always try to coach people up to think about the ongoing management.
Or even Jason, even if you can't guarantee they're going to get more moves, at least they're going to waste less money. Just because they have a $3,000 budget doesn't mean they should be spending $3,000. I find plenty of companies that have a $5,000 budget. I dig in and I'm like, wow, you guys are spending $2,500 on just completely silly display campaigns that aren't generating any quality traffic for you. It turns out I can save them thousands and thousands of dollars a year just for being a part of their decision making about where they're spending the money and how they're spending it.
That is a good feeling when you get in on a major account and you find a few tweaks with the search terms and finding some negatives or the location settings that's going to save them like tens of thousands of dollars over the next year. Like when you had that the voiceover company, and you found that they were getting a lot of searches for The Voice TV show. Like how much money had they spent on that, and how much money were they going to spend over?
That was like it's like their number one click. It's like, like, why are people coming and leaving immediately? Oh wow, AdWords is spending almost exclusively on The Voice and how to vote on The Voice.
Well, let me ask you a question, Chris, because we're going to get into what kind of questions people should ask. And I know they asked you this as a client, and I'm going to ask it to you too, because I don't have an answer. Why would someone search The Voice and then click on a voiceover company provider ad? Why does that happen, Chris?
Jason, as old school listeners will know, Jason, millennials, right? It's the microwave. They just can't read. I mean, everybody knows, we're mad at all those millennials out there.
Oh, old school. Yeah, I remember that, man.
Yeah. You would yell almost every.
I took so many shots at them, Chris. That was fun. And then I retired it. But
we haven't brought that up. But hey, we're still mad at millennials. Stop being so lazy. And the thing is, I don't think people are just conditioned to just click the first thing they see. I think the reason you see ridiculous searches is just people click the first they have, and this is a good thing, but they have so much trust for Google that they're just like, first thing, bam, click it. Oh, wait, this is not what I'm looking for. And then they go back, right? Wow. They have no idea that they just spent someone's money to do that. But that's my theory. I don't think people think before they click. A lot of
people read the full ad. They just boom.
Sure.
They might see like the word voice or boom.
Done. Yeah.
And it happens. Yeah. So Chris, now, we've told people where to go to find these management companies. We've told them what kind of services to expect. Let's get into the nitty gritty with the experience we can offer in terms of, you have a number of agencies or companies you're looking at. How do you narrow down which one to actually hire? So what questions to ask AdWords management companies when you're thinking about hiring them? Chris, I'm going to give you my number one question that I would recommend people ask, and then I want to hear yours. So what I would recommend people ask, and what I try to get into on the phone calls, is ask the prospective company you're thinking about working with, what can I expect for a cost per click? What can I expect for a cost per acquisition? Now, Chris, I know we can't answer that on every industry if you haven't worked with an industry before.
Okay.
But that's a real question. And I think maybe you can get an honest answer, and maybe the company doesn't know. Maybe they give you an honest answer where, oh, we haven't worked in that industry before. We don't know exactly what the cost per click is going to be. But as a customer, Chris, and coaching up our listeners on how to be a good customer, I want to hear that company verbalize the cost per click and the cost per acquisition process, because that's the most important thing to me as a customer. What is my cost per click and cost per acquisition going to be? I want to hear them spell that out. Like, okay, this is how many clicks, how much a cost per click we expect it to be. Hypothetically, maybe it's this number. This is how many clicks it takes to be turn into a lead. How many leads turn into acquisitions? What's your estimate there? Person calling me, and then, okay, that's how we determine the cost per acquisition. That's the most important thing, Chris. I want an AdWords management company that can actually verbalize and explain that to me. That's the biggest thing to me, Chris.
Well,
every time I bring up accounting and cost per acquisition, you just go dull.
Yeah.
You act like it doesn't matter. But then we get those comments, Jason, when were you talking about that accounting and cost per acquisition? And I have to look up the number in the episode, Chris, because people care about this. It's the most important thing to me.
Yeah, it's the most important, but I don't think I don't think it's the first question. You asked me to share what I thought my most important question was.
So what do you tell them? What do you tell them? Like, oh, thanks for calling me. I'm Chris Schaefer. I'm good looking. You should hire me.
Oh, I'll tell you what I say is, Jason, you call me and I'm good looking.
I mean, what are you?
I just heard that back in my head.
If you're not talking about cost per acquisition.
Okay, if they ask me that question, first I'm going to say, listen, Larry, I can't guarantee leads. You may not get a single lead when I manage the campaign for you. I cannot guarantee that because your website might suck. Okay. And you may not know how to sell to a rat in a bag. And it's not my fault. But what I can guarantee you is quality traffic.
Okay,
Larry, you're not Larry. I'm just speaking to Larry. But that's it. Honestly, I don't care what your cost per click is. I don't care what your CPA is because I can't guarantee those. That's not my job. So it's rough. I say it much nicer, and I hand them a flower and say, listen, this is going to hurt a little, but here's what I think the most important question to ask is. You may disagree, but I disagree with you, and I think that's what everybody loves to hear is when we fight. But what I think the best question to ask is, hey, George, can I talk to the guy that manages my campaign? Is there a wall between me and the guy who actually has his hands on the keyboard and is managing the campaign? Because if I'm going to talk to a salesperson and he's just going to blow smoke and just say things that he has no idea if they're actually true, they're just going to sit in on a Monday morning meeting and figure out how he's going to spin this week's low conversion rate. I want to talk to the guy who's managing the campaign. That's what I think the most important question is, because then the smoke screen goes down. He can really tell you the truth about what's happening. Salesmen really make me angry because they want everything to be out as good as they can so they can keep you as a client. But in reality, I value honesty. I value, a lack of a smoke screen, and I keep clients that are around for years because they know things are tough and I'm not just blowing smoke, and making it sound like things are good. I'll let them know this is tough. I'm having trouble here,
Right. I like that. So asking the company, okay, I'm talking to you on the phone now, but who's going to actually manage my account? Can I talk to them as part of this service? So I like that question. A couple more questions, Chris, that I would recommend everybody ask an AdWords management company they're thinking about engaging. How much time will you spend on my account each week? Now, it doesn't have to be a lot of time if they're super efficient, but I want to know what I'm paying for. So I want to know I'm not paying a $2,000 hourly rate. I'm happy to pay a professional rate of $100 to $200, whatever, but I'm not going to pay $1,000, $2,000, or at least I want to compare it to other agencies. So what will you do each week? What do you actually do? I like asking.
Okay.
Here's a big one, Chris. Will you report search terms to me? Or now they may not like hearing that question, but as an educated purchaser of AdWords management services, will you report the search terms to me?
That's, just to break off here for a second, I think that's there is no salesman that can blow smoke over a search. To go back with the voiceover services, when they see the top search terms as how to vote on the voice,
right?
You can't fudge that. You can't say, it's a tough industry. We're having problems with competitors, and seasonally, this is just a slow time for you. Oh, really? Look at those search terms. You just can't fudge that. So.
Right. So that's a great thing to ask and probably demand. Another couple things here, Chris, are, will I own my account? Is it going to be my account? And speaking of smoke screens, I know Chris does not endorse really hiring any AdWords management company where you're not even going to see the account or how much money you spend on Google. Does not get the Chris Schaefer approval. Chris, the final question I would ask is, and every business owner, they've got to know, they look at their own website, they have to at least know if it's good or bad. But it'd be an interesting thing to ask the AdWords management company, what do you think of my website? Is my website good enough to turn that traffic into conversions? And then if it's not at the time, you'll know if they're kind of blowing smoke, where.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's at least, we were talking about coaching, how to gauge someone's experience. If they're like, oh, I just think that's such a pretty button you have there on your, I just immediately want to click that button. If they say things like that versus the call to action and the header and the phone number, they mention things that actually matter.
Yeah.
Then you're speaking with someone that might have a little more experience.
Now, Chris, here's probably the hardest part. Okay, put yourself in the shoes of someone who's only been in their AdWords account for a couple weeks, a business owner, is not a Google partner, does not have Google polos, was not a minor league baseball pitcher. Put yourself in their shoes, Chris. Didn't do CrossFit at lunch, so you don't have that clear thinking mind because you got all your rage out with your burpees.
This is really getting personal.
This is the hardest part. How do you determine quality, Chris, when you're considering a different AdWords management companies to hire? Everybody's website looks nice. Everybody can say the same things. How would you actually go about that? Do you have any tips for us?
Jason, I love that you asked me that because I imagine you don't really have an answer for that either. I don't know. I don't know. Just like I said, every sugary cereal box looks delicious and they all have cute little animals on the front, and I want them all. I have no idea.
Step one of being a slimy politician and never looking bad in a debate, and I've won all of our debates. Even though I disagree with my positions now, I won all of them. Never ask a question you don't know the answer to, Chris.
Okay, so here it is. What's the answer?
Okay, this isn't everything, but a partner badge, it helps. Okay. It's not everything, but it helps. Okay, because here's the thing: if they don't have a partner badge, what are they doing? Like, are they taking this thing seriously? Are they lazy? Why do they not? Have they been in trouble with the big guys? Why don't they have a partner badge? So I would say that's the first thing to get you in the door. Chris, you're going to hate hearing this probably, but experience in your industry. I think it matters on Google AdWords.
You mean they've worked in the so
right. Have you ever worked for a janitorial or coffee supply service? Oh no, never. Maybe they have, and they have other accounts where they can tell you the exact cost per click they're looking at. I just think it helps. It's not a deal breaker, but it helps. And the final thing is a deal breaker, Chris, and this can really narrow down your options when you're looking at different companies. Experience in your part of Google AdWords. So if you're going to run a search campaign, don't go to the company that specializes in e-commerce. Conversely, if you're going to sell kayak equipment, don't go to Rothman PPC, where all it says on their website is we get leads, we make the phone ring. We don't do e-commerce.
Yeah.
So make sure the AdWords management company you work with, they can have experience in all the different parts of AdWords: YouTube, display, search, shopping. But make sure they do have experience in the area that you want to be in, and just ask them openly, like, "Hey, do you guys do shopping?" And Chris, I don't do shopping, and so I recommend people to other people when they want shopping. So
yeah, definitely. It's I just talked to a guy yesterday, and he did exclusively shopping. I was like, hey, this is a great campaign, but I can't help you. But not everyone will. Most of the time, I talk with agencies who are like, hey, we just got a $20,000 client, and we said that we could do their AdWords, and we don't know how to do it. Can we hire you to do it for us?
Right.
It happens all the time.
Right. Those guys say yes, the agency guys.
Oh, sure. The answer is always yes. Do you do that? Yes, we do that.
Yes.
Yes, we do that.
Yes, we do now. All right, so Chris, wrapping up here, just a final few things to really help yourself and not shoot yourself in the foot as an AdWords customer. So let's talk about what not to do and what to do. So what not to do, Chris, Googling yourself obsessively. It is the number one instinct of AdWords management clients, but why should they not do that, Chris?
Oh, because I mean, there's the whole thing about you don't want to ramp up your impressions, and you don't want to make your cost per your click through rate lower. But in reality, that's a very small percentage. I'm gonna go through all the smoke here and say, basically, if you're searching for your own company all the time, or you're searching for your own keyword, just checking that it's there, you're not focusing on the job that you're paying your agency, your company to do. I mean, why?
Yeah. You're paying an AdWords manager so you can focus on your business.
Yeah.
Why are you paying for AdWords management and spending your time?
Yeah. I mean, there's reasonings about impressions and stuff, but the fact is, you got your eyes crossed here. You're watching one guy over here and you're watching business over here. Get focused. Let people do what they need to do, and then if there's problems, you can follow up on it when you discover that there's some issues.
And really, Chris, your individual results, they really can be different than the overall data in the account. Like, it really can be different, and you can totally screw yourself up if you're just trying to look at your own results. You've got to trust the data in your account, and just because you can't see things, because you don't see 99% of the impressions you get, because they're the ones you don't look up yourself, you really have to trust your AdWords data. And
I'll tell you, Jason, I mean, here's an ugly truth. I've had clients who search for a certain keyword and they always want to see it. And I know, where their business is located, and I know what keyword they search all the time. And I know if they're searching on a phone or a computer. So I will have one exact match term that has like a crazy bid on it, because I don't want that client calling me and say he didn't see his ad. So I'll just ramp up the bid on that one exact match term, so that he can always see his ad. But in reality, I said, okay, that's just for the see me factor, right? That's just for the crazy guy who always just wants to keep seeing his own ad. And then I'll manage all the other keywords as I see appropriate.
Chris, I do the same thing. And just because we're giving this advice today about not looking for your individual results and not overemphasizing that versus your overall account data, there's still a ton of people listening who are just wired that way, and they'll never stop.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, we can't fix stupid, but that's fine.
And we can't. So, Chris, the final tip here of what not to do is don't. There's so much data. We talk about this all the time. There's so much data in your AdWords account and on your monthly reports that it's very easy to get caught up on things that don't matter. Do not get caught up on things that don't matter, that aren't material to the actual results. So, like, if you see a keyword that got 2 clicks last month and overall your account got 1,000 clicks, and this keyword has a 0.3% click-through rate, really bad click-through rate, it doesn't matter. It's not good, but it doesn't matter because it's 2 clicks out of 1,000. And you really got to focus in on the stuff that matters. Oh, 20% of my traffic went to one search term. What was that search term? Did we get conversions from it? Focus on the things that matter. So, Chris, what else to do? The number one thing that helps me as a AdWords manager is get your conversion tracking set up on your website, and also have a lifetime value amount to report to me as your AdWords manager. Those two things will really help a campaign be successful. Get all your conversion tracking in place and have a lifetime value that you can run your cost per acquisition against and really know that your AdWords is profitable.
Yeah, it's an excellent point. I have nothing else to say.
A couple other things, Chris. Give me, as the AdWords manager, ad copy ideas. You know your customer. What really tickles them and really gets them going. I may not know that. Give me ad copy ideas, and then just give me rough keyword ideas. Give your AdWords manager rough keyword ideas. They don't have to be exact searches, just rough. Point them in the right direction, and people like Chris will do the rest of the work.
Yeah, it's Jason. My biggest selling point that I try to explain to people, because I talk to a lot of business owners, is this. You know your business. I know AdWords. We each do our own jobs. We each stick to our expertise, and we'll have a good campaign. When I start trying to cross over and assume things about what your company needs, or when you cross over the line and start assuming you know how to adjust the keywords in the bids and what ads need to show up and which ones don't, then we're going to have problems.
Right.
But when we work together, hands held together, that's when we can see a brighter day.
But Chris, when you do coaching, do you do a screen share? Like, do we get a camera of you while you're coaching?
No cameras. No, I never wear a shirt.
Can I pay you extra?
No. No shirt thing is no, just for me. But
okay. Well, that's it, guys. We hope this episode helped you out there as business owners be better able to find the perfect AdWords management company for you, and also know the right kinds of questions to ask them and know how to be a good AdWords management client. So everybody, thank you for listening. This is episode 101 of the Paid Search Podcast. We will be here for the next 1,000 million episodes, and we're here every Monday. So thanks for sharing the show, and we'll be back next Monday with episode 102 of the Paid Search Podcast.